Folks, at one rental at a time, we bring you operators that are really, really doing this business. They get in and out. They're doing things. You've probably heard about the Airbnb bust and catastrophe that is coming. Well, folks, I have an operator here who has an Airbnb that has had one booking in the last 4 months. So clearly Airbnb is a catastrophe above catastrophes. Omar, why don't you share the story? What is going on? One booking in the last 4 months. That's not good.
No, not good at all. And anybody that's telling you otherwise, I hope that they're really doing it. But most of the time, I think they're going to be lying because I do have a few Airbnbs that I changed over to long-term rentals just because I didn't want the headache and stuff. Could I do something different? I'm sure, but it's specifically in the mountains because this is where I have two Airbnbs. One's a personal that we were gonna do Airbnb, but we decided not to. And then the other one was supposed to be the one that feeds both, right?
Right.
So nothing out of pocket. It feeds both. I have a 3% loan on both of them. Great, great debt. But one booking. I was so excited when I saw it on Airbnb app, and it was through the 4th of July weekend, and they paid me $1,200 or $1,300 for 3 nights or 3 or 4 nights, right? Because they probably were booked out, or I just got lucky. I'm not, and our place is super, super nice. And I've gotten one booking with a $2,200 payment every single month. You can do the math. Okay.
Right.
That's going to be a lot of money. Was it 2 times 12, 24? What is that? $26,000 annually to keep that property. Yes, a lot of the money goes towards the principal because of the low interest rate. That's the only saving grace. That is the only saving grace on this property because of great debt. So guess what I could do, Michael? I could just check this out. Section 8 in Big Bear will give you, because it's a 3-bedroom, they'll give you $3,000 a month. And there isn't any availability because a lot of people don't want to do Section 8 in the mountains. I don't know why. It's just weird. But I could do it that way and then be positive $800 a month. But, I get there's a saying, Michael, and I think all of us are going to resonate with this. There's a little dog that sits on a porch and it's moaning, it's crying. And it's like, wonder what's going on with him, right? But come to find out that he's sitting on a nail. And that nail is just bugging him, pissing him off. This is why he's like, just kind of like, but it doesn't hurt him enough to get the F off the nail and move. That's a lot of us. Okay. And all of us, and I'm going to speak straight because it's myself included.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt me enough to sell the property. It doesn't hurt me enough to change it to a long-term rental. It doesn't hurt me enough because I have other assets that are paying for that shit. But you know what? It's still not right. But again, we all go through this because we've had alligators before that we didn't realize we had alligators of a property until a year later, a year and a half later. Why? Because we think as entrepreneurs and individuals and like, no, we know what we knew. We know it. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to go out and we're going to try to figure it out. We're going to try to increase profits on that. Because trust me, in your book, your alligator, it wasn't immediate the first month that you decided to sell it. No, it was a long time because you're trying to like, no, we can make it work. We can make it work. We can make it work. But guess what happens? This is why you made the book. This is why it's one rental at a time. This is why you convey the message of like, hey, get rid of the alligator before it really becomes one.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
exactly.
And I know I went on a rant right there, but I'm being like completely straightforward with you. And all of us are in this boat. Yeah. You have non-performing assets that are in your portfolio that you're not looking at. Yeah. Why? Because I'm not looking at them either. Honestly, I try to. But when you focus on top line revenue, creating more income, flipping property, wholesaling this, you kind of tend to forget about your long-term rentals if they're not performing the way they should, and or Airbnb.
Yeah, I think there's some things that we got to take away from this. Again, I've been warning about Airbnb. There's a lot of gurus that were pushing it. I think there's some markets like Lake Havasu and Big Bear where if you were first, you were printing money, just
Mhm.
printing money. But over the last couple of years, by being vocal on social media, you've invited more competition, whether you wanted to or not. The
100%.
supply goes up, the value goes down, and now there's real pain. I mean, one booking in 4 months when you got a $2,200 note.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't care who you are, that hurts,
It
right?
does. I mean, what is that? $8,000, 2, 4, 6, 8.
Yeah.
We had a good winter because there was a shitload of snow.
Mm-hmm.
So it's offsetting, right? But
Mm-hmm.
guess what? The last 4 months have been eating up that
Yeah.
profit that I had in freaking November, December, January, February, you know?
Was it Ryan Pineda really big in Big Bear? Did I hear that in one of his videos?
Oh yeah. Yeah. His cost of entry was so low in 17 or
Oh, he
16
got
and 17.
he got in low.
And
Okay.
he bought like 6 or 7 of them and they were just printing money. I want to say he still might own them. He hasn't sold them yet
Okay.
because
Yeah, I
they
don't know.
probably still okay. Like you said, he was first to market
Yeah.
and he's developed the reviews.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I want to talk to you about, again, I hate alligators. And, this is just me and you having a live coaching call that, thousands of people are going to watch.
Uh-huh.
I would flip that thing to a long-term rental. Unless you
Yeah.
printed money in the winter, that's enough to, like, this is the off season and it's always the off season.
Yeah.
I don't know why it doesn't become a long-term rental, especially if Section 8 wants to, because again, it's about stopping the bleeding, right?
Yeah. It's stopping the bleeding and not, check this out. Somebody else pays for that debt to drop down that huge debt that you have on the property. Not that we
Yeah.
have a huge debt, but somebody
Yeah.
else
Yeah.
pays the debt off.
The equity just builds every month, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it doesn't come out of my pocket. So that extra $2,200 goes towards another performing asset or something. So it
And
doesn't
then
come out of my pocket.
the real beauty for me, Omar,
Yeah.
is if you stick in a Section 8 tenant, let's say for a year and a half or 2 years, you
Uh-huh.
buy time for all the idiot investors who got in late to wash out.
Correct.
And then you
Correct.
take the Section 8 tenant leaves, and then you take it back to Airbnb when there's no supply.
Oh, smart. I didn't think about that. Hmm. Interesting. I'll probably do that effective immediately.
Yeah.
Come the first.
Yeah, because again, the whole idea here is, again, I people often hear me rant about Airbnb and think I'm anti Airbnb. I'm not. I'm anti stupidity.
Right.
If you can get into a market where there's no supply, go print money. Think Lake Havasu. Think Big Bear 2 years ago. Well,
Right.
guess what? You all talked about it. Now there's a ton of supply. So
Hmm.
buy time for the idiots to burn out, for them to get tired of losing money, for them to sell it. Then you flip it
Hmm.
back to Airbnb and there's no competition. You
There's
know?
no competition. Exactly what I did in Havasu. I don't know why I didn't do it in Big Bear. I removed the properties. There was no availabilities for rentals. So I said, let me supply that demand. And I
Yeah.
got stupid rent for all of them.
There you go.
And they're all on great notes, 3% on
Yeah.
across the
And then
board.
just like Big Bear and Havasu, if supply of Airbnbs ever goes down enough, you'll just take one of the tenants or when they move, flip it back to Airbnb and print money again.
And print money again. Yeah. Hmm. All right, let's go. Great coaching call right there, Michael. And
There you go.
everybody heard it, and everybody can take that advice for yourselves as well.
There you go. Well, Omar, if somebody wanted to buy or sell or be involved with your team, how would they do that?
Guys, follow me on IG at Invest with Omar. Got a bunch of cool pointers and stuff that we really go through. So
Yeah, you really are doing this stuff, man. Thank you for coming back each week. Thank you for being such a huge asset to the channel. I appreciate you.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Michael.
You got it. Later.